What is going on, Raider Nation? It is JT coming at you with another episode of the RaiderCast East Coast Pregame Show. I'm your host, JT, and today, NJ Raider Nation unfortunately could not make the video. That is A-okay. Still, I'm going to shout him out. Go follow him on Twitter at NJ Raider Nation 0. Go subscribe to him at NJ Raider Nation on YouTube. Go follow him, go subscribe, go like, go comment, do everything, do all that. He's a great friend of mine. So I'm going to do the show solo today. So we'll see how this goes. But I'm definitely excited about this game. Raiders versus Saints should be a good game. Taking a look at what ESPN's prediction, how they think it's going to go. The Magic Predictor says a 61.3% chance of us winning over the Saints with only a 0.5% chance of a tie, which if there's a tie, I'd be very sad. But taking a look at the spread, we are not the underdogs. Saints are the underdogs at 1.5, so really, no, it's like a 50-50 in terms of spread. Over-under is 48.5. I can definitely see the over happening in this game for sure. If I'm a betting man, I would definitely take the over. Because if you take a look at points per game and yards per game, points per game for the Raiders is 27.2, which I believe is third in the league at this point. And then the Saints are actually scoring 25 points a game, which is pretty impressive considering they've been banged up on the offensive side and haven't had super impressive, quarterback play or O-line play, but they have playmakers in Kamara, and then recently, Olave has been really good, and Rashid Shaheen has been really good for them. However, they're missing their two of their biggest playmakers in Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas. So we'll see how their offense is able to do. They still scored a ton of points last week against the Cardinals, but that's the Cardinals defense for you. So we'll see how that goes. But the points allowed is where I think we will, reign supreme. They're allowing 28.6 points per game, which is atrocious. We're allowing 25. So at this point, I expect the Saints to score roughly about 24-25 points. Other than the Chiefs, we have not allowed a team to score more than 24 points in a game. The Cardinals scored 23 before we had the fumble recovery for a touchdown. So besides the Chiefs, our defense has held opponents to 24 points or less this season, which in my opinion is overall impressive. Last week we held the Texans to 20, held the Chiefs to 30, but we lost in a close game. Against the Broncos we held them to 22, against the Cardinals we held them to 23, against the Titans we held them to 24, against the Chargers we held them to 24. So overall, our defense has been playing not great. If you look at the stats and where we rank among the league, we're pretty bad. But they're doing enough to allow us to win games, so we have to make sure our offense has been much better in the past 3 weeks about making sure that we're able to win or get this close to winning. Obviously, the first 4 weeks were very disappointing. Or I should say first 3 weeks were very disappointing. As we didn't close out those games. However, against the Broncos and the Texans, we were able to close out those games, not only with defensive touchdowns, but with insane running the ball skills from Josh Jacobs. He's been absolutely on fire the past 3 games, averaging over 147 a carry. He had 3 touchdowns last week against the Texans for over 150 yards. He keeps breaking his own personal career best every week he plays. This week he's going up a much more stingy Saints defense than the others, but still, they're still allowing 123 rush yards per game. So I expect Josh Jacobs to have another 120-plus yard game, another 2-plus touchdown game, because as long as he's eating, our offense is going to demolish teams. Because if they start trying to take away focus too much on Jacobs, our guys are just going to be open. Mac Hollins has been really good. Devontae Adams has been pretty good. And for the first time in a while, we have Renfro, we have Waller back with Adams and Hollins to complete our receiver monster four-headed Hydra thing that we have. We need to see more from Waller and Renfro when they play. They haven't been super impressive. But as long as they get more comfortable in the scheme and as long as they stay healthy, I think we should be fine, especially since Adams has just been also feasting. He's had 100 or nearly 100 yards every game this season, except for I think like 2. So he's been really good. He's been a steady rock for our offense, for Derek Carr to lean on if we get away from the run game or if we need to throw the ball. In terms of pass yards allowed, we have allowed more than the Saints. We allowed 275 pass yards a game, while they get on average 270 yards a game over in the air. So I expect something similar. They don't really have a run game. They don't have a great O-line. Alvin Kamara is obviously a very dynamic back, but he's more of a run and catching back rather than just Josh Jacobs, where he's just like a run, will run down your throat type of back. So we'll see how that goes. They only get 142 yards rushing, however, which is obviously really good. But their leading rusher right now is Kamara with only 328 yards, while Josh Jacobs has well over that. He has over 600 yards. So we'll see how that goes. Now, like I said, the Saints defense is the stingiest defense we've probably faced since the Broncos. Probably one of the more stingy defenses we'll face for the remainder of the season, other than the Niners, Steelers, and Patriots. So we'll see how we do. If we can continue to run the ball against this team, who doesn't run a lot too high, which, we've been very successful against 2 high running teams, which have been the past 3 teams. So we'll see how we do against not to cover too high, stumbling over my words here. 2 high coverage. They should be playing the run a bit better, but again, they still allow well over 100 yards rushing a game. We are actually a really stingy defense when it comes to rushing, only 104 yards rushing allowed, so I don't expect them to get 142 yards. I don't expect Alvin Kamara to even get over 100 yards, because I know for a fact that we have not allowed over 100 yards rushing to one player this season. Not a team as a whole, obviously, we're averaging 104 yards allowed rushing, but not one player has gotten over 100 yards against us. So I think if you take away Alvin Kamara, which we probably will be able to in terms of the rush, they're going to have to really try and throw the ball to like the weapons I talked about that are healthy: Chris Olave, Raheem Shaheed, and then you have Alvin Kamara out of the backfield. This is a big test for our offense, I should say our defense. We need to see more improvement in terms of, anyone but Max Crosby making plays, or anyone but Max Crosby, Daron Harmon, and Rocky Sin making plays. We need to see more from them. Chandler Jones and Cleveland Ferrell got their first sacks last week. It was only a half sack each, but still need to see more from Chandler. We need to see more up the middle in terms of pass rush. We should see more of the rookies this week, which I'm very excited for, in all honesty. Because we traded away Jonathan Hankins, and their idea is that we're going to now use our rookies more, which I'm excited for, because they've been, one or the other has been a healthy scratch or not part of the ones who suit up for the game. Now we get to see both suit up for the game, both get snaps. Andrew Billings has been a pretty solid run stuffer this season, but Jonathan Hankins was for us, but then he kind of got lost in the shuffle with Kendall Vickers, and then obviously the rookies, Andrew Billings, all those players kind of took his snaps away, so we tried to get something out of someone who's running out of their contract at the end of the year, and also someone who's older. A lot of respect to Hankins, though. He played for us since 2018, so he's seen some shit with the Raiders. He's been through some shit with the Raiders. He's been through our downs, he's been through our ups. Once a Raider, always a Raider, especially for someone like him who's been really one of the few players that actually has been stuck around since the Oakland era. So yeah, respect to him. I hope he does well in Dallas, unless we face him at some point, which we won't, because we don't face Dallas this year. But you know what I mean. I hope he does well. But for the rest of our defensive tackles, need to see more. I want to see more Klee, I think, up the middle, especially on odd man fronts. If we're playing like a 5-man rush, I want to see more Cleveland Ferrell in the middle to help Max Crosby, because he was a real beast in getting Max Crosby some free lanes. Max Crosby was like this close to getting a sack last week against Davis Mills, but Davis Mills had like this crazy instinctive maneuver. Shout out to Tape Don't Lie. Definitely go take a look at them, because BD Williams highlighted it on the show, which is why I'm talking about it. But our defense, allowed Davis Mills to pick us apart, but we were very stingy in making sure that Dameon Pierce did not run us over as well. So our defense right now can really only focus, especially when there's a really good running back. So I believe we're going to have that same thing going on. We're going to really focus in on Alvin Kamara, because I would like to think that Patrick Graham thinks that our D-line can do enough to stop Alvin Kamara, his rushing ability, and the other running backs that they have, which I'm not even sure I think is Mark Ingram. And then they just got to stop their, Raheed Shaheen and Chris Olave. I think Rocky Sin should do just fine against whoever he's on, but I need to see more. I want to see more Sam Webb, I think. Meek Robertson did play pretty well in the nickel. I need to see more from Morig. Anthony Averett, I need to see more from. Morig is definitely going to have some, needs to play a really good game, because their burner, Raheem Shaheed, has been playing extremely well, so we definitely need him to play that, center field free safety very well, like he did last season against that burner, and make sure that over the top is covered. That way, if someone does get burned, he's there to make a tackle or make a play on the ball. Darren Harmon's been playing pretty damn good overall. He honestly almost should have won us the game against the Cardinals, and he sealed the game versus the Texans. So he's had some big plays. He's been very consistent, in my opinion, overall. He hasn't made, he hasn't been lockdown safety or just insanely, Pro Bowl level or anything like that, but he's been a consistent force in the backfield, in the secondary, which is what we need right now, especially with Murray being still working through a hip injury and also just not playing super well. But yeah, this should be a very exciting game. Definitely excited to see how our O-line does against their D-line. Cam Jordan is a force. He's really, really good. Their sack leader isn't even Cam Jordan right now. I can't remember his name, but it's not Cam Jordan. I believe it's his last name's Adams. But yeah, he's been really good. Their just D-line generals has been really good. So if we can hold up against their really solid pass rush attack, we should be fine. Like I said, their defense is stingy. It's definitely the stingiest we've faced in a little bit. So we'll see how we do. I think we'll do fine. I think our offense is really clicking right now. We have, our guy that we run the offense through. We're much more balanced in terms of rushing and passing. A lot of those things are really helping our team, especially our offense, really blossom. The first 3 weeks, I kept saying we need to run the ball. We didn't give Josh Jacobs the ball enough. He only had one game where he was under 4 a carry. And it was 3.8. In the other games, he was over 5 a carry, but he wasn't getting a lot of carries. So I was like, I don't know if it's just because he's not getting a lot of carries or he's just really that good. But regardless, we need to start running the ball, whether it's with Jacobs or Zamir. And we finally started doing it. And it turns out we just needed that the whole time. Our offense has been opening up a lot more. Derek Carr's really good at a play action. He's been really good at, I don't want to call him a game manager because it has negative connotations, but he's been really just putting the ball where it needs to be. He's being safe with the ball. Only 1 interception since week 1. Week 1 he had 3. He's only had 1 since then, so that is awesome. He hasn't thrown for a lot of yards. He hasn't thrown for a lot of touchdowns, but that doesn't matter. I just wanted Derek Carr to either, if he's going to make plays, he needs to make the plays, but if he's not in charge of making the plays and he's just getting the ball to the person that can make the play, and as long as he's doing that safely, I don't care what Derek Carr does. If he needs to be a game manager, again, I don't want to use that because people are like, oh, game manager, that's so rude. He's way better than, a regular game manager, which is true. But that's his role right now. And again, Tom Brady was a game manager for over 20 years, and look at the success he's had. It's not always about being flashy, and it's about being able to have the flashy plays available and make the right decisions, versus just chucking it and fucking it down the field, or fuck it and chuck it down the fields, fuck it and chuck it Ruggs is down there, fuck it and chuck it Adams is down there, or whoever's down there. You can't just do that all the time. That was the Gruden way. Thank God we're away from that, because we don't have the ability on offense to really just do the fuck it and chuck it, and it doesn't work. You saw Packers fail at doing it in the playoffs against the Niners. Rodgers kept trying to force it to Adams, and they fucking lost in embarrassing fashion at home against the Niners. You can't always have hero ball. Hero ball is what kills quarterbacks, and even though it's like, oh my god, he just made that crazy play. There's probably like 5 other plays that he had that he could have done that would have had more team success rather than him success. So I'm glad we're taking that hero ball, mentality away from the quarterback position and at the Raiders, and giving it to Carr. Giving Carr the ability to make the appropriate choices. Whether it is a check down or not, I don't give a fuck. I want him to make the right decision, make the right play, and give the ball to the right person at the right time. And so far, he's been doing that really well. So props to Carr for playing a much safer, more controlled game. And obviously, people are like, oh, I don't want him to throw the check down. I don't want him to throw this. I want to throw him deep, chuck it to Adams down the sideline or throw it up to Waller over the middle. You can't do that all the time. That's how we lost the first 3 games. We kept trying to do that. Give the ball to Jacobs, make the short passes, make the quick passes, give it to Adams, 15 yards downfield, 10 yards downfield, give it to Matt Collins over the middle, let him get yak. Give it to Renfro and let him fall forward for 5, 6, 7 yards and get the first down. Give it to Waller for a jump ball, a contested catch. Those are the plays we need to do on offense, not the chuck it and fuck it down the field. On defense, we need to make more splash plays. Honestly, our talent's not there to have a real, true, lockdown defense that Patrick Graham wants at the moment. We gotta people either need to step up and play better, or we need to wait till the offseason to get better players, better rookies, better just players in general. So right now, we really just need to look for sacks. We need to look for interceptions. We need to look up for just turnovers in general. Right now, every time we get a turnover on the defensive side of the ball, I should say not every time we get a turnover, every time we get a defensive touchdown, we are 2-0 so far. So the stats are there to back me up. Not saying we have to get a defensive touchdown every time, but we need to get more turnovers. I believe we only have 3 interceptions. We have 2 fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. So, and one of them was for a touchdown. 1 pick 6. We need to have more turnovers. This is how the 2016 defense was. They weren't really a lockdown defense, but they made plays. They made turnovers. They got turnovers. That was why they were so damn good. I expected a game from Max Crosby. The reason why he didn't have a game last week is because they focused so much on the run. They weren't worried about generating pass rush because they felt like they needed to rely on the secondary to make sure that they could, lock down when they weren't running Dameon Pierce. And we almost got picked apart, but eventually a quarterback like Davis Mills will make a mistake, which he did, and threw a pick 6 to Duron Harmon, which was Duron Harmon's first pick 6 of his career, which is kind of insane to me. But yeah, it's all about this week. I think is going to be get to Andy Dalton, because they don't really have. Again, they have a lot of rush yards per game, and I don't think we're going to key into that, because they don't have this one guy that will just run you over if you don't, focus on him. And they have a little bit better offense than the Texans, just by a little bit, in my opinion. I don't think they're anything crazy. Again, they have really high points per game, but if you look at the games that they played, it's because they've had a shootout, and somehow Andy Dalton was shooting out. They got obliterated by the Cardinals. He threw 2 pick 6s. So, again, Andy Dalton's not good. He has like 7 touchdowns. He has like a bunch of interceptions. I don't know how they have so much points per game, but they do. But this is a really weird, time of this is a really weird season in terms of scoring, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the game. Let me know down in the comments how you guys feel. That was a bit of a ramble. I definitely miss NJ on the show, so next week we will definitely have NJ on the show. And I didn't know that the game was at 1 p.m. tomorrow. I would prepared to do a RaiderCast Game Day Live. But next week, definitely, because it's in Jacksonville, it's at 1 p.m. I thought it was a 4 p.m. game tomorrow, so that's on me. But I will be live tweeting. And plus, I'm doing something else in the afternoon anyway, carving pumpkins, because it's almost Halloween, so that is exciting. This is Halloween weekend. I want to make sure everyone has a very, very safe Halloween weekend. Don't drive and drink, and don't drink and drive. Don't do anything stupid. Be safe. Have fun. I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and peace out, Raider Nation.